Awesome. Welcome everyone to today's Connect Through and Three community conversation. We're very excited to share out from a couple of community partners, one of whom is my employer, a little bit more about some of the things that are happening in our digital inclusion ecosystem, as well as sharing a few updates from Connect Through and Three about some of the kind of upcoming things in our annual cycle. So definitely excited to jump into those if we want to go to the next slide. Yes, welcome. So here is our agenda for today. We always spend a few minutes just kind of getting into the space, welcoming folks to join us, especially folks who may be seeing this on Facebook Live or might be seeing, even a recording later. We want to say welcome to you. We're glad that you were able to join us today. We do have two member spotlight presentations. The first is from our very own community ambassador, Shadora Ford, who'll be talking a little bit about her work with Mac Development and her organization Destined for Greatness. And then from my employer, United Way for Southeastern Michigan, talking a little bit about the Racial Equity Fund, which the application for that is currently open. So there's another funding opportunity through United Way that can also help to be leveraged to bridge the digital divide. After that, we just have a couple of updates from Connect Through and Three, specifically around the annual review and nomination season. We're very excited to kind of restart our election process to make sure that we have really, really engaged, excited, enthusiastic folks leading our 5 committees. So I'll be talking a little bit about that later on today, and then just reiterating some of those key dates throughout the rest of the year. And, a few things I'll be talking about for next year before closing us out. So just reiterating, you've all definitely heard this before, but Connect Through and Three is not just a collaborative, it is also a strategy, it is an initiative, it is both the people that come here together and also the way that we work together. So it's made possible by the City of Detroit, United Way, Rocket, and Microsoft, but it is more than just kind of the core partners who started it. It is all of us, and making sure that we are all working kind of together in lockstep to make sure that Detroiters get what they deserve, that they can access the digital world and all of the opportunities therein. So with that, we're going to talk a little bit about how some of that is happening currently here today. So I'm going to start by passing that off to our first member spotlight, and that's Shadora Ford talking about Destined for Greatness, Mac Development, all the cool things just happening. Shadora does so much, y'all. I mean, I wish I had like a really solid bio for you, because I am not doing you justice in introducing you. You do honestly too much, and I'm thrilled for you, and I'm thrilled that you're here to talk today. So with that, Shadora, take it away.
Thank you so much, Jordan. I'm definitely appreciative for the spotlight. Thank you to all the Connect 313 staff, members, and community people that's on today. I'm really, really excited. I'm bursting out of my smile right now. I'm also wearing pink because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I have my pink hat with my pink Destined for Greatness shirt to match. So just throwing it out and giving space for those. So Destined for Greatness is really the highlight of my own life. I often talk about it and just get really excited because it's something that I started at the age of 19. And when I started Destined for Greatness, I just thought that it would be a program that met a need for one girl. I was working for the city of Detroit at the time at the One Stop located at 5555 Connor. And the fun fact is that I was born in 1989 at 5555 Connor. And so I was working there as a customer service liaison at the front desk. There was a young lady who came in with a mentee of hers or a potential client of her caseload who needed some services. And at that time, I looked up Scared Straight. I looked up all of these other resources that I thought would be helpful. And the lady literally called these organizations, called these places, and they didn't have the space for this young lady, or that particular program was no longer funded and shut down. So one of the things I saw was a need for a young girl who had grown up in a specific neighborhood and just needed some care and some turnaround help. And so I helped that one young lady, thinking that that would be it. Long story short, years later, we've helped over 5,000 girls. Data Driven did a 2020 report that showed we helped over 5,000 girls successfully become not just mentored, but public servants, i.e., productive citizens in the city of Detroit. In 2016, I wanted to find more of a way to help these girls. And so this picture that's on now is a photo of us when I received the Detroit Hero Award in 2020, because during the pandemic, while others was at home and getting all this restful break and getting sick of being at home, I was actually outdoors from the start of the day until the end of the day. If I wasn't in the parking lot of the Samaritan Center passing out food, PPE, and household essentials, I was working for the mayor's office and making sure that the stores and businesses remain safe by providing PPE and decals, floor decals, and all of those great things to keep the customers healthy and safe, as well as those working for these stores. So I was always out during COVID, and that's what led to us getting the Detroit Hero Award, followed by the Governor's Award also in 2020. And I had an interview yesterday with MegaCast of Michigan, and we talked about that journey. And it was just like, wait, all of this happened since 2020. And so it's very rewarding. And then also at 5555 Connor, we have what's called the Ford Wellness Building. And in that building, I occupy 70% of the space. We worked with the White House. We let them know that Michigan moms needed milk. You know, there was a shortage all over the world. This was something that, like the pandemic, it did not just affect our state. It was not just affecting of our city, but it impacted a world where babies were supposed to thrive. And so I made some calls and I emailed and I sent some letters. And the White House called us back and said that we are FDA approved and we were able to get just as much milk as a WIC office and so forth. And so that led to us starting our third Thursday giveaway, something we had already been doing, but it really allowed us to ramp it up. And so on each third Thursday of the month, anyone 0 to 99 can come through and get diapers, wipes, fresh food, produce, PPE, hygiene kits for men and women. We have a full clothing closet and just so many other resources that can help people. And so in this amount of time, we've done third Thursdays where we had even our community ambassadors come out and set up for Connect 313 and provide information on the ACP program, provide information on how to get affordable devices through Human IT and so much more. So this third Thursday is not dedicated to babies or infant milk or the drive that you see on the flyer. It's really created to help with resources for us all. Next slide. So in 2010, I did start Destined for Greatness to be a mentoring program to provide space for at-risk girls 11 to 21. However, that 19-year-old girl evolved, and I actually remember having girls that were older than me, and I'm like, how can I be their mentor? Tell them what to do, and they're already 21. They're older than me, and and it just made sense because a lot of us may be older in age, and it's just the sharing of knowledge and understanding and love and concern for humanity, not the age that made me a mentor, not my status or where I lived or where I was. It was just the fact of love and sharing resources. So pictured, you'll see us at the NAACP dinner that we go to every year. We did a Destined for Greatness entrepreneurship pitch to Skillman. My girls won 10K to start their own youth-led health and wellness program that would provide peer-to-peer mentorship and support to help other youth realize how important it is to really take control of their health, their mental health, their well-being, and just being in the light of helping others. And what I want to instill in them is what I've been taught through Destined for Greatness, is that each one teach one, reach back and grab one. That if my older girls help the younger girls and my younger girls find that same love and help others, that we can continue in this cycle of building better individuals and families. And that's the reason why we really focus on that peer-to-peer mentorship. My girls that's in college, they help with the high schoolers, and the high schoolers, help with the middle schoolers. Now to the point, the middle schoolers is like, okay, where's the elementary kids? We don't want to be the babies. We want to help somebody too. So we do a lot. We go to Capuchin Soup Kitchen every other month. We do a lot of outreach and drives. I ask them to bring in clothing or toys or devices that they may have that they want to donate to homeless shelters, just really teaching and instilling them the values of giving back and how to love one another, no matter what the circumstances are. Next slide. So how we got here. I'm also a proud District 5 Connect 313 ambassador. Yes, yes. So I love my role as a community ambassador because it aligns with my vision and mission for Destined for Greatness, to make sure that people are able to get the resources that they need and fulfilling the areas where there is a barrier. So we know that digital literacy is a barrier for a lot of people. We know a lot of people don't know how to check their emails, how to even log into their emails. Most don't even have an email. And so that's where the divide comes in for a lot of people who need to access our resources. They'll sign up for a Destined for Greatness giveaway, and then we'll ask, hey, well, did you check your email? Did you get the confirmation? And they're like, no, I don't even know how to do that. A lot of seniors who come into our space, they say, we don't know how to work the computer. We want to do telehealth. We want to talk to our families and friends and actually see them on Zoom. And we don't know how. Our children and our grandchildren have bought us devices and we don't know how to use them. No one has the patience to help us use them. So we're very excited about the Tech Hub. We're very excited about the space of Connect 313, which I've already started digital Work It Out Wednesdays at Mac Development. And Mac Development is our host site in District 5, which focuses on some of those same values. And they are helping out individuals in the District 5 area. And they have done a lot for those with HOPE applications and youth sports teams, and just giving District 5 a voice to be able to help one another. And so we are very grateful for their partnership as well. We work hand in hand in the work that we do. The founder of Mac Development, Jonathan Demers, and I actually started our program the same year in 2010. And so we work closely and have been working closely over the years to make sure that both District 4 and District 5 is, really allocated some services, because we are a needed area. And so we have our town hall coming up. I'm so excited about that. It will be Wednesday. In place of our Work It Out Wednesday, we're going to have our Let's Talk About Digital Equity town hall. And we will have information on Connect 313, ACP. We'll have some of the ambassadors out, some of the staff of Connect 313, even Human IT. I'm in communication with them on being at this event so that the community members will know how to engage and how they can become a part of helping us spread the word of ending the digital divide as well. So it's going to be a fun time. We got some great food, some great fellowship, and great information and resources to pass out. Destined for Greatness also has a digital tech lab, as we have been working with youth over the years for a very long time in literacy. And see, I grew up on Mavis Beacons, the site where they would teach you how to type. You had to type before the frog would go down in the pond. And if you didn't type by time your sentence, by the time the frog went down in the pond, you obviously lost the game and the frog went down. But that was the highlight of my life, just learning how to play fun games while incorporating literacy. And so, yes, Mavis Beacons definitely teaches typing. You got to go on there. I think I started Mavis Beacons in 8th grade. They started putting us on that, and I just used to like real competitive. And so that's something that we're looking at bringing back in front of our students, because they're quick and fast on those iPhones and Androids. But I'm telling you, if you put them in front of a computer, it's like they're in Stone Age type of thing. And they're like, typing every letter one finger at a time, when my teacher would be like, look up, you can't look down. You had to type a certain amount of words per minute. And so that has really been great. And so we want to introduce them to Microsoft Suites, introduce them to Excel and all the things that they need so that they can complete job applications and employment and get resources that they need. And so there's that middle population of a lot of us millennials who can do either, or we are versatile. And sometimes we get on the computer and like, okay, I remember now. So those will be the ones, my peers will be coming back to help us assist with our digital literacy classes. And we want to thank Rocket Mortgage and Connect 313 for that as well. Every month we have a different theme, same day giveaway, because with everything we want to remain consistent. So every third Thursday of the month, we give away, of course, the diapers, the wipes, the food, and so much more. It just caters that the third Thursday of November is our Thanksgiving giveaway. So if you know anyone who is in need of food or personal hygiene kits or DIY kits or just anything, we've been partnering with the United Way for the last 2 years, or actually, the last 2 years, to make sure that they have the DIY kits, to make sure that they have just everything that they need during that time of the holiday season, the canned goods and so forth. So we are doing the Thanksgiving giveaway. They can choose between a turkey, a ham, or even just other meat products. So it's going to be really fun. If you can, please stop by, whether it's to take pictures, help sign someone up, or just to pass a turkey. We would greatly appreciate it. Next slide. Also, Christmas is coming again. And our Christmas wish list is always that we touch the families. Our last third Thursday giveaway, I did not have a coat on because it was a conversation piece. And it was like, it's cold, you don't have a coat on. So I said that I won't wear a coat until other children can wear coats. And so this is a draft flyer of the new flyer for this year, but we're making sure that kids have coats this season. And so our ask is, if you would like to adopt a family, please feel free to reach out to me. At the very basic, we want to make sure that every child has a coat, maybe a pair of pajamas. We know as kids, we looked forward to the Christmas day, and your mom would put you on that nice little PJ set so that you can wake up in the morning and be surprised with your toys, and so that they can take pictures. So our goal is to make sure each child has a coat, a pair of pajamas, and an outfit, and 2 toys. Christmas is all about the spirit of giving. So if you can give, please do so. Our MLK Day event and giveaway is also on the third Thursday of the month. It's a day that we reflect back on the expectation, looking forward ahead, and the values that MLK taught us, and how we should do everything and operate in love and loving one another. So it's kind of very close to February, to the love month, which is Valentine's Day. So we start introducing love at the very beginning of the year, because how you start could very well be how you finish. So we introduce love, interaction, and letting people know that it's important. You may do a pickup somewhere and you may not need the beans or the meat, but don't throw it away. Don't throw it to the side. Just find someone who need it, or donate it back to a local pantry. So we do a lot during our MLK Day, giving out a lot of resources, giving out a lot of information. We have other surrounding nonprofits that are there that day who can also give out the information. And because it's in January and it's freezing cold, that may not be a curbside pickup. That happens indoors as well, where they can get the resources. However, the diapers and wipes is still a drive-through, because we want to make sure that we're keeping everyone safe. Next slide. So if there are any questions or comments or concerns, I will take those at this time. I hope that you enjoyed my presentation and that I said something that resonated with you today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shadora. I just want to come off mute and just say, can we give Shadora a round of applause? Seriously, throw a reaction out there, drop something in the chat, because everything that you do is just so amazing. The fact that you're doing this not just behalf of Destined for Greatness, but also for MAC development, keeping all of these different streams of programming happening, and also like keeping it straight. I see that you're looking for volunteers for some of those events. If there are links to sign up or a specific way to indicate that you're interested, if you want to drop that in the chat, just like give people the opportunity. I mean, on November 17th, 2 p.m. you said?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to make something happen there. And this is just really, really exciting. And yes, also from Naima, extra flowers, for being the special projects and resources. You've done so much for, so many parts of Connect 313. I just really want to, give you all the kudos, all the flowers. Yes, and I see people putting in the chat. We're just so appreciative of all the work that you do here, Shadora. And we'll also provide like contact information in the chat. So if anybody has any follow-up questions or anything, they will know how to get in touch with you because we're all just super impressed.
Thank you so much, Jordan. And I did not mention we are the recipient for the third time for the Governor Best Nonprofit Award. So this year is actually going to be in person, and it'll be at the Fox Theater on November the 17th. You all are invited to join if you would like to attend the Governor's Award. I can definitely put you on the guest list, and we're planning to take Girls Empowerment Weekend last weekend, and we were expecting 25 girls, 31 showed up. So we are taking the girls on a day date. We're going to take them out to a local restaurant, followed by the award ceremony with the governor at the Fox Theater, and that is at 7 p.m. on November 17th.
I mean, you heard it here. So you can come out, volunteer for Destined for Greatness on November 17th, and then, just have like a leisurely afternoon, go get dinner, and then go right into an award ceremony celebrating Destined for Greatness all in the same day. I mean, there's just so much amazing work happening there, and we are so appreciative to have you here at Connect 313.
Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, I would like to introduce our next presenters. My team at United Way for Southeastern Michigan, the DEI team, led by our fearless leader, Senior Director Andre Ebron. He's going to kick this off. And we definitely have some exciting things happening at USIM as well.
Absolutely. So good afternoon, everyone. Very glad to be joining you for my very first community conversation for Connect 313. Let me pause and say to Shadora, excellent work. Love you while I have the mic and wanted to say that. Very proud of everything that you are doing in and with community. And one of the things that I really love about it is that I know it comes directly from your heart. And in fact, you have taken it on as your ministry. So super proud of the work that you're doing and the lives that you're impacting. So in direct alignment to the work that Shadora is doing, as you all know, that United Way is committed to mobilizing the caring power of Detroit and Southeastern Michigan to improve communities and individual lives in measurable and lasting ways. Well, about a year and a half ago, we launched our diversity, equity, and inclusion department, of which we see a couple of different programs. Number one, our 21-day equity challenge. If you haven't signed up or been a part of that before, I encourage you to go to our website, unitedwaysem.org, to learn more and participate in 2023. And then we also have, as you know, our digital equity and inclusion efforts, of which we are a managing partner of Connect 313. Closing that digital divide and making sure that everyone has access and opportunity, that they have that digital literacy and skilling. And then, of course, there are tech hubs launching everywhere. And most of the people on this call are aware of what we're doing in community with the tech hubs. Then we have what the opportunity I'm going to mention to you today, which is our Racial Equity Fund. And we can go directly to the next slide. So United Way, we ended up being a recipient of the Mackenzie Scott Gift, in which the Mackenzie Scott Gift was focused on really bridging that racial equity gap and making sure that we are reducing the disparities and inequities that live in our community that impact our lives. You heard Shadora talking about the milk shortage. You know about the food insecurity. You all are keenly aware of the different challenges that we're having in our communities. And some of that root cause can be directly traced back to racism. So United Way being committed to deconstructing systemic racism and anything that would provide some ethnic discrimination or provide challenges to our community, we chose to assign $1 million last year to really work in and with community, and those that are at a grassroots level, I like to say it this way, you all, that are sandbag to sandbag, really helping to fill those gaps with community. And this is what happened. So we didn't want to create something for community. We didn't want to do something to community. We wanted to cultivate relationships with community and have the community really inform what this fund would look like. So we pulled diverse leaders across Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties to really begin to pontificate or to ideate around, like, how do we develop this fund, one that is authentic to the needs that are in community. How many of you all have ever participated in something, and while the intention was really great, because we didn't convene community, the resources didn't hit where the actual need was? And to that you can say yes, or if we are in a different environment, you may say amen, right? And so what we ended up doing was we galvanized leaders. And I mean, we really worked for about 8 weeks. And I mean, there was some intense conversations and discussions around what are the community needs that we can solve with this fund. And so these leaders, they cultivate the funding priorities. And number one, they looked at leadership, right? So a lot of things begin with leadership. And we talked about identifying BIPOC leadership. BIPOC is an acronym that stands for Black, Indigenous, or People of Color led organization, meaning their executive leader had to be a Black person, an Indigenous person, or a person of color, right? And so from that fund in 2022 and organizing the community group, we were able to respond and to mitigate the efforts in which racial inequities really exacerbate. It was in the middle, right? Well, not necessarily in the middle, but during COVID, right? So every inequity within COVID was exacerbated by being quarantined, not having access to those immediate needs in a greater way. So you're asking me, you say, Ibrahim, what is the end goal here? And number one, it is to build power and infrastructure in communities of color across Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties, which means we're not just providing resources. This is not just about resource deployment. This is about empowering people to bring sustainable change from where they are to where they endeavor to be. If you believe that everybody within our community should have access to the resources needed, not for them just to survive, but to fully thrive, drop something in the chat right now. I don't care if you drop a muscle up, a hand clap, prayers, whatever it is that you need to drop in the chat. Let's activate that now. So to learn and to speak more about this fund, it gives me such great pleasure to introduce to some and present to others. It is our Social Innovation and Equity Partnerships Director, which is helping to lead and oversee this work. Please welcome now, Mr. Ray Stacer.
Thank you so much, Andre. Thanks for the snaps, Jordan. Let's see, we can actually move on to the next slide. And one of the things Andre was mentioning with this community work group when building the fund, I just want to reiterate how powerful it was. Just truly the work and the effort that went in from the community to build this out. We're talking, Andre mentioned the funding priorities. They helped influence the application, like literally writing the application questions, coming up with the rubrics. They were instrumental in ensuring and advocating that the funding was unrestricted and can be used for Gen Ops, that orgs had the ability to help define their own metrics for success instead of us telling them what success should look like. So it was a really powerful moment to be a part of during those 8 weeks, to watch the community kind of come together and be like, you know what, let's build this the way that it should be built. And let's start there. One of the things that we like to say in our team a lot is that it's the journey. If we want equitable outcomes, we need to have an equitable process. So if we didn't approach this from an equitable process, our end result wasn't going to be as equitable as it could be. Ultimately, we had 23 organizations that were selected, a combination of both USIM staff as well as community reviewers, helped review the applications and make the selections. Awards were up to $55K, and it was really, truly amazing to see just the comprehensive, diverse cohort of organizations and programs and the ways in which they were addressing racial inequity. So they were addressing racial inequities that pop up in youth leadership and voting rights for young people, domestic and sexual violence, maternal prenatal care, human capital development, mass incarceration, youth development, refugee support. I mean, we see the impacts of racism in every single one of these arenas of our world, and to see this cohort of 23 organizations really work to mitigate those harms was truly powerful. The other thing that I just wanted to draw attention to is, it was very, it was wide open. We really wanted to encourage organizations to apply to address the racial inequities that are most relevant to their community that they work with day in and day out. So for that reason, out of these 23 orgs, we actually had, in some ways, almost all of the orgs touch on digital equity in some ways, but there were 4 in particular that, well, maybe not explicitly stating that their program is here to, close the digital divide, ensuring that they had equitable access to digital devices was a pillar of their programming. Organizations like Journey, Caught Up, the Chaldean Community Foundation, Family Assistance for Renaissance Men, even if they didn't mention it explicitly, they had a big digital equity focus. As a program manager, I'm not surprised to see organizations that focus on youth development, re-entry and reintegration, refugee support, all rely heavily on digital equity to reach outcomes. And I think it just kind of punctuates the importance of the work of Connect 313, because some of these organizations, if they don't have access to these digital devices, if the gulf in the digital divide is too wide, they can't do the work that they want to do and they feel like is needed in their communities. So just wanted to highlight that. We'll move on to the next slide. That brings us to today. We are back. The application actually opened up a week ago. We have, well, actually, I take that back. It opened up this Monday. We have, application is open until the 7th. So we have still a large window of time for organizations to apply. Again, just a reminder, these are flexible, unrestricted grant awards between $10,000 and $50,000. Just something that I think I really want to highlight here. This gives control and power of how money is used back to the organizations that are doing this work, which is, I think, one of the most important tenets of this fund. So that while the application is open now, the actual funding term will take place next year, 2023, from January to December 2023. And much of the fund has remained the same. We wanted to respect the work of the work group and not, change it up behind their back a year later. So the priorities are the same. We still are giving a lot of flexibility for orgs to define for themselves what priorities they want to address. And just a reminder that these are the inequities when it comes to BIPOC orgs, Black orgs being able to break into the funding ecosystem is a major equity barrier, which is why that these funds are earmarked only for BIPOC-led organizations. Andre mentioned an executive leader. I just want to kind of follow up on that. We recognize that some orgs, you may have non-traditional hierarchies when it comes to the way you do leadership. It might not be the traditional structure. And so one way to kind of think of like whether or not your org has BIPOC leadership is, are the individuals that you have in your org that identify as BIPOC, do they have meaningful power to make decisions for the organization and set strategy? If you can answer yes to that question, then often that organization would be eligible for this fund. We want to continue this. We had 120 applications last year for funding that was able to successfully fund about 25 programs, 23 programs. We're shooting for another roughly around 25 this year. It would be great to see a large representation of orgs with a digital equity focus in applying. So please spread the word. I got to shout out Jordan for throwing all the amazing links in the chat, but just wanted to also put here, the website is on the screen right now, has all of the information that you need. And then also there is an email right here where you can get a hold of me directly. Happy to answer any questions that you have. I do want to point out that there is an informational webinar about if you'd like to learn more coming up next week. Actually, let me get that exact date for you. We have that slated for one moment. November 1st, and the link is on the website to join the Zoom, and then there's also a recording, a link to the recording that we had on the 20th, a week ago, right when the application opened. So anyway, I would like to just pause there. I want to thank you, Jordan and David, for giving us the time to be able to share this, and then please spread the word. I'll throw it back to Andre for some last words, and then encourage anybody to ask us any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Ray. And again, thank you, Jordan and David, for providing the opportunity. Yes, as you can tell, one of the things that we have done with this opportunity is, and it was very important to us, is that we have centered community voice and lived experience in constructing this opportunity. As a matter of fact, we utilized an entire toolkit which was designed to center community voice and lived experience in constructing RFP opportunities. And if you want to learn more about that, that is available on our website as well. And I'll go ahead and give her her flowers while she can still hear them. Jordan Falby was instrumental from the USUM team in helping to construct that with Detroit Future City. So extremely proud to lead this amazing team. And if we can help you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you all.
Yeah, just shouting out also that there is an opportunity to join as a community reviewer as well. Ray, I think you mentioned that throughout the spiel, but we are definitely looking for folks who have some experience or some ties to the community to make sure that your voice is heard in the decision making for how the Racial Equity Fund is distributed. It's also a good experience if you are in an organization and you're trying to understand a little bit more about the funding process, getting to see a little bit of that inside baseball about how grants get distributed to organizations. I know that obviously all of you have heard a little bit about how Connect 313 does it, but that's not like universal in the process. So being a grant reviewer is a great way to get to see under the hood, so to speak, about the grant making process at United Way. And I think that's a great experience. So yep, bye, Andre. If there's any interest in participating as a grant reviewer, we would love to have you. And that email address we've dropped in the chat, racialequityfund@unitedwaysem.org, is a great way to get in touch with Ray and learn more about that opportunity as well. So thank you, Ray, for joining us on today's call. And we really appreciate all the great work that you do at United Way and for being my teammate. And we are really excited to talk a little bit about some Connect 313 updates, starting with just kind of recapping some of the fun from Digital Inclusion Week. So with that, I will pass it over to, I believe Micah Burley is on our call today, and Dr. Naima Wade is also on the call, who were really, really instrumental in developing Digital Inclusion Week this year. So I will hand it over to just, really shout us out, get everybody really hype about the amazing experience, and then we'll show like a cool video that was created.
Thank you so much, Jordan. So I am incredibly excited about what we were able to do during Digital Inclusion Week. So if you missed it, you gotta make sure you come next year. We have 5 incredible days of programming where we were able to host 5 distinctly different audiences talking about content that's very relevant to helping to bridge the digital divide in Detroit, and also creating opportunities of exposure for resources that can support that bridging of the digital divide. So as you guys may know, day 1 was leadership and policy. We were able to bring on board Eric Frederick, the director of the State Office of Broadband, and several other people to talk about digital connectivity from both a policy standpoint and a leadership standpoint. Day 2 was equally impactful, or maybe even more impactful, where we were able to launch our inaugural research symposium. We had over a dozen leaders come in from around the country to talk about their research and findings in the space of the digital divide, and what they're seeing in multiple different areas. And I'll also give some time and space for Naima to talk a little bit more about that. We had our small business, supporting Small Business Day, where we had over a dozen leaders come in and talk about initiatives that they're launching or leading across the city of Detroit to provide tangible resources, tools, and funding for small businesses in Detroit, and also making sure that those small business owners know how to use digital tools to operationalize their businesses. As we know, not using online tools or not being able to be digitally connected is really a barrier for a lot of small businesses, especially those mom and pop shops. And then we were also able to do our Connected Communities Day, where in partnership with Human IT, we did a device distribution for 100 residents across the city of Detroit, and also led several digital literacy workshops. Kamisha Goss, who's on our call here, was even able to facilitate a session on how to utilize the Connect 313 digital literacy playbook, which you can find, shameless plug here, connect313.org. Under Get Help, or I think it says Get Help or resources or something like that. And it's a principal document. So if you have community residents who could benefit from digital literacy resources, please utilize, it's under Get Help, please utilize that tool. And then the last day was our focus on youth. So we were able to host several hundred students from Fisher Magnet Lower and Upper School, both at the elementary school and at the FREC site, where they were able to come and hear really interesting discussions from folks in the technology space. Even we had a panel discussion with some folks who lead in the e-gaming industry, which we know our kids are obsessed with at this point. So really great time. I will close my mouth, and Naima, if you have any words, would love to pass to you, and then we can share the video.
No, nothing to add. Just immense gratitude to the Special Projects and Shared Resources Committee and all of the management leads who helped to make the inaugural symposium a success. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and I would be remiss if I didn't thank the Policy Advocacy and Ecosystem Committee, who supported with planning efforts for the entire week as well. And major congratulations to our award recipients. So Bartell Welch, Deja Butler, Rachel Allen, and Katie Hearn. Oh, that's me right there. I'm gonna turn my mute on though.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Digital Inclusion Week.
It is our 4th annual Digital Inclusion Week. We're defining digital equity, we're convening partners. Our conversations have evolved from just talking about what is the digital divide to actually looking at what the future for Detroit looks like.
Internet access, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, is a human right. Just like the water you drink and the air you breathe. This is a basic need now.
This isn't just about little Susie Q can't go to 6th grade remote learning class. This is about when you have high rates of disconnectivity, you actually pay more in social costs for everyone around them. What if we actually treated the people who were disconnected as humans who had something to contribute, whether it's their problem solving or their genius? What if we treated them as an opportunity instead of a problem?
Digital inclusion is everything. Digital inclusion is everywhere, and digital inclusion is for you. Sometimes citizens and residents don't see the digital inclusion conversation as one that they belong in or one that they're a part of. What we are trying to do is, one, understand how to change that narrative, and two, empower people to join the conversation.
The reason that this work is important to me is because I believe in the necessity of economic equity.
Just growing up here, we didn't have a lot of opportunity to get internet access when we left school. Like when I left Cass Tech after school, I didn't really have that opportunity. So the fact that we're able to impact the community is something that I will remember for the rest of my life.
I love this city. I was born here, and I want to see the city succeed in a big way.
When you get the right people in the room, all collaborating around one cause that can truly make an impact in people's lives, then we're going to be able to create access to opportunity.
A lot of the way that we navigate our daily lives is online, and so we can't expect someone to be able to have a safe and stable and healthy home unless they have access to the digital world.
We're going to fix this. We're going to go from being the least connected city in the country to being the most connected city in the country, and I firmly believe that.
I'm proud of the work that Connect 313 and the City of Detroit continues to do to address this issue.
We are all in as a city. This is something that Detroit believes in.
What I'm most excited about with the High-Speed Internet Office, we've really defined our mission as creating a more digitally equitable Michigan. Period, full stop.
Good morning, students. Welcome to Detroit Digital Inclusion Week. We're going to do some coding, and my hope is that you guys develop a love for technology.
Digital Inclusion Week impacts our students because it allows them to engage in technology.
Digital inclusion for me means that it allows for all of us, the community, us as individuals, all to come together to be on the same platform.
We want you guys to understand that you belong in technology. Give me a round of applause. We're going to have a good time.
This day of learning around digital literacy is so important to our students because it sparks an interest in the use of technology, it sparks an interest in learning more of how to navigate through different platforms.
It allows them to see how they need technology to move forward. That's important because they are our future. And if we don't get them involved and move the way of the world, we will be left behind.
Is this the best day ever? Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I know that there is a link to this video in the chat if you want a more clear version. Just lastly, thank you all for attending Digital Inclusion Week. Thank you for all of your support of Digital Inclusion Week, and we can't wait till next year.
Awesome. This was so great. Thank you for that, Micah. And yes, we'll definitely have the video go out in the newsletter. It'll be on the website. We will be posting this everywhere because y'all did such a great job. The committee did such a great job pulling this together. Just thanks to everybody who participated in building Digital Inclusion Week, and it just gets better every year. So with that, as you had mentioned, Micah, during that presentation, we do have the Digital Literacy Playbook live. I've dropped a link to it where it lives on our website, but we did want to have our lead on creating the Digital Literacy Playbook, the kind of genius behind all of this resource, Kamisha Goss, talk a little bit about this new resource.
Hi, everybody. Say hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael. Baby Michael.
Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. So I won't take up a lot of your time. I just want to give you guys some background on the Digital Literacy Playbook, and who it's for. Hint, it's for everybody. The Digital Literacy Playbook is really about some of the things you've been hearing about earlier today. I'm so happy that Shadora got to go first. It's hard to follow her. But a lot of the things that she spoke about helping people is kind of the purpose of this Digital Literacy Playbook, right? The purpose of us helping people with digital literacy is to make sure that people can meet their basic needs, right? Everybody is not going to build code and build robots or develop websites, right? But everybody needs to have the basic tools to set up an email, check that email, right? You need that just to do everyday things. And so we literally want to make sure, we want to make sure that everybody is equipped with the base level skill set that they need to operate in their daily life, right? So even if they choose to not deal with any social media, they just want to text their grandkids, we want to make sure that we set people up with that fundamental knowledge that they need to transition between those things. So the Digital Literacy Playbook focuses on basic digital literacy skills. So this is not the playbook if you want to start your career in streaming, right? This is for people who need that base knowledge. It starts out as basic as, okay, it's a computer, how do I turn it on and off, right? To give that confidence building boost to people who need that, right? Because sometimes it's so intimidating, you know, technology touches so many things that it's like, where do I even start? And then no one really wants to start with the power button, right? Or the keyboard or the mouse, but there's so much information there as well. So there's 2 curriculums in the Digital Literacy Playbook. One is Introduction to Computers, which is more of a confidence building class. It's built over 4 sessions, but it teaches you the basics, right? Everything you need to know about a keyboard, everything you need to know about a mouse. And it's fun for me to put this out after having worked in a library and seeing people's faces. People say, I don't need that. And then they take a lesson and they're like, I did not know that you could use your keyboard instead of your mouse to get around on a computer, right? And that's a skill, that's a thing that can help you. Knowing the difference between hardware and software will make people not look at you crazy when you ask for help, right? You're like, the computer's broke. They're like, what's broke? Like missing a key is not the same thing as a whole computer being broken, right? So being able to distinguish those things. And the second curriculum that's in this is basic computer skills. So Shadora talked about setting up an email, right? There are things you need to be confident with to set up an email, right? Like getting online, knowing how to find an address bar on the website, knowing the difference between searching and pulling up a website, right? I can't tell you how many people just type their email address into the web address bar. Like, now my email won't come up, right? Learning those basic navigation tools for internet, learning how to do spelling and grammar checks, learning how to copy and paste information, learning how to manage files, how to save and delete things. All of those things are basic skills that translate across different things, right? You can write a resume, you can write an email, you can check messages. And so this Digital Literacy Playbook is really a first step to help people get elevated into a space where they can manage their daily life, and then they can move on to some upskilling from here. So all that being said, check out the Digital Literacy Playbook. There's a live form on the website. If there's something missing from the Digital Literacy Playbook that you think people really need to know, you can leave some feedback for me there. If you have a resource that you would like added to the Digital Literacy Playbook, you can also ping me there and I will check it out and add it to this resource as well, if it's like a helpful next step to people after this. So I hope you check it out. We've got tips in there for people who are teaching for the first time, people who want to use it to walk themselves through a self-paced learning experience, and for people who are going to be organizers, right? Hiring other teachers or managing larger programs as well. So we hope you find it helpful. And if you don't find it helpful, let me know so we can make it helpful for you, because this is the tool for you to use. And if you can't use it, then I need to make it better. So I hope you guys find it helpful and give it a try.
Thank you, Q. And I've dropped the link there if you would like to provide feedback on this awesome resource. If there's anything that you feel like is missing, if there's anything that you think needs to be like explained more, I think that's a really great way for you to provide that direct feedback so that we can continue to build this resource out. It's a living, breathing, growing document, as you said, Q. So we really want to make sure that this is as useful to everyone as it can possibly be. If you want to start using this in your organization and like teaching it, we definitely want you to feel confident in being able to use this tool. So if you have any questions, please let us know. You can always reach out to us at info@connect313.org.
And say, yeah, if you don't know like how to tweak it, it's okay to just say that I think it's missing something as well. You don't have to be technically savvy to be like it's missing a downstroke here. So any feedback you have, whether you are expert in the field or not, is helpful.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All righty. I know we are at 3 p.m. And yes, these meetings are scheduled for 90 minutes, but I'm going to try really hard to get through this next section, give you a little bit more time back in your day. But we do have, a couple of exciting things with Connect 313 going on at the end of the year. This is how we do it every year, but we just want to reiterate that these are opportunities for you to be a little bit more directly involved in kind of the day-to-day goings on here at Connect 313. The first being the annual review. This is live currently. It's a survey where we're collecting your information, your feedback about your just kind of overall experience with Connect 313, regardless of where you have kind of fit within the collaborative, whether you're a community member who has participated in programming or attended some of our events, or if you're a board member who's been, coming to all these board meetings, making decisions about the direction and the strategic planning of Connect 313. There's questions for folks at every level. And we really want to make sure that we're collecting all the intel that we can so that we can present it back out to you, to the community at our final community conversation of the year on December 8th, but also so that we can do our own planning for 2023. This is how we set our goals. This is how we kind of determine our direction, our funding priorities. All of that really comes out of the annual review. So next slide. We really want to talk about why you should complete this. I know it is, yet another survey, and everyone has survey fatigue. It is a lot. We're always asking you questions. I get it. But this is really important to help us set our goals for next year. We really want to know what areas we can grow the most, and we really want to continue to build that trust where we are not just kind of making decisions randomly based on our own organizational missions or our own personal opinions of what we think is missing. We really want it to come from the community as much as we possibly can. I mean, at every point. So we really need to know from you and hear in your own words and in your own voice how you want this to look in the future. And to sweeten the deal a little bit, we are including a $10 Meijer gift card for the first 50 respondents who express interest in that. You don't have to accept a gift card. If you work for one of the organizations here, no pressure, but even if you do, if you want $10 gift card for the first 50 people, we would love to give it to you. So please fill out this survey. If you go to the next slide. So feel free to fill it out literally right now while we're on this call. We have a QR code on the screen. We have dropped a link in the chat. We really want to make this accessible to as many folks as possible. It will also go out in our newsletter next week. So we've already sent out an e-blast about it. So please make sure that you are getting those emails from Connect 313, and we really appreciate any kind of intel that you can provide. A lot of the questions are optional, so it's not too time consuming, but we really do rely on that information. If you want to go to the next slide. Just quickly touching on, here's what we heard from folks last year. Kind of the main themes that we were hearing were around communication, accessibility, especially accessibility of information, community engagement, really looking at how we can move towards engaging more residents more directly, and the way that we are sourcing ideas and turning them into recommendations, just making that more clear for folks. If you go to the next slide. And that directly tied into the goals that we had set for this year. So I just wanted to show kind of that flow through of the information that we collected at the end of last year, help us set the beginning of this year, the goals that we had throughout the year. So achieving that operational efficiency and making it more clear for folks how to find that information, identifying those gaps in the ecosystem, and really being able to work more effectively with the community, collecting and sharing those stories, really honing in on that community engagement and really being able to do a better job of storytelling what we're hearing from the community and sharing it back out to the community, and really looking for more touch points to allow people to advocate for themselves and to raise to us the things that they are most interested in that was built directly on the results of last year's annual review. Next slide. And our final kind of exciting thing for this year is it's election season. So the nomination form will be live on November 1st. Just talking through, a little bit of that today. That's kind of your sneak preview. And there will be a whole nominations page on our website that will kind of walk through the whole process, what all the different committees are, how you nominate yourself. So that nomination period will begin November 1st, and an e-blast will go out with that nomination form, and it will also be live on our website. That will run the whole month of November. So you'll have tons of opportunities to nominate yourself or nominate other people that you think would be really solid committee leaders. Because this nomination is for the committee leadership. So the chair and vice chair of each committee are democratically elected. It's a really important part of the way that we make sure that Connect 313 continues to be community led, is that it is community members who are leading the committees, and they are elected by their fellow community members. So it is not us kind of assigning or volunteering certain people within our own organizations that we think would be good at running these committees. It's y'all. This really is your initiative. It is for you, by you. And we really want to make sure that this is as inclusive and accessible as possible. So that election does begin at our final community conversation of the year. On November 8th, we have December 8th, we have an opportunity for those candidates to speak a little bit and introduce themselves. That's also when the election form goes live. We use a platform called Election Buddy, which allows you to vote either by connect to your email or by your phone number. So it's also an SMS-based system. So you get your voter key either way, which means it's a little bit more accessible than just using a purely kind of computer-based platform, which is really cool. And that election actually runs through the end of the year. And then in January, we let the elected folks know that they were selected for a chair or vice chair or co-chair in the sense of structure and operations. And let them accept that position, and then they get to start building their committee. So throughout January, we are kind of onboarding those chairs and vice chairs, starting to source committee members. And then at the end of January next year, we have our council meeting where we announce, here are your chairs, here are your vice chairs, here are the committees that are still looking for folks. And then we're really able to hit the ground running Q1 of next year. Next slide. So just reiterating that the nomination, the purpose of that is to identify the candidates for the election for chair and vice chair of the 5 committees. So, every committee is elected. We don't kind of carry people over year. So every committee has an opportunity for you to have a leadership role each year. Again, you can nominate yourself, or you can suggest another person that you think would be great. And this was something that came up in structure and operations. We do require the people who are nominated by somebody else to also fill out the nomination form. We are not just going to put a candidate on the ballot because somebody said that they would be a good fit. If we have not confirmed that they are interested and that they want to do it and that they're actually prepared to run. So the questions in that nomination form become your bio. That is what is listed about you on the ballot, on the website. So we really make it kind of simple for people. Just whatever you put in the nomination form, that's what people see as kind of your candidate profile. And that is what they use to determine if they want to vote for you or not. So we will have that form go live, as I said, on November 1st on the Connect 313 website. We'll have a version of that available so you can see all the questions listed out. We have an FAQ document that was created also in conjunction with Structure and Operations Committee to really answer all of those basic questions. But if you have any additional questions, again, you can always reach us at info@connect313.org. And that way we can make sure that you are all set to be able to nominate yourself. All righty, and I'm just whipping through this last little bit at the end here, and then hopefully you'll get at least 15 minutes back in your day. So our final community conversation of the year, as I mentioned, December 8th. That is the opening of the election. That is the opportunity for the candidates to introduce themselves. That is the results of the annual review. So there will be a lot happening at our next community conversation. Really, really exciting. Really hoping to see you all there. And then our final council meeting of the year is November 10th. So that is another opportunity for folks to kind of give their feedback on kind of the final suggestions and recommendations that we have processed for this year. And then we will be kind of taking a pause on processing any recommendations while we're just going through the election cycle. And just the decision-making bodies will have their final meetings of the year. So the board will be meeting on November 15th, and the Joint Assembly will be meeting on December 1st to make any determinations on recommendations that were presented at that point, and also to just kind of close out and understand how everything has gone throughout the year. So they will also be receiving some of those initial points of feedback from the annual review. Yeah, and just a reminder that we do have a rolling suggestion form. We are always accepting suggestions. We just wanted to, as I said, all of these bodies of governance are having their final meetings for the year, and we're really, really focused on the nomination and election cycle at this point in the year. So it may take a little bit longer for your suggestion to get processed if you are making that suggestion at this point, because the committees do take January to form once the election concludes at the end of December. So we really do want to get those suggestions in. I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that there's a little bit of downtime kind of at the beginning of the year when the committees are still getting up and running. So we would love to see some of those suggestions, especially if you can get them in now while the committees are still kind of closing out this year. Get some of their initial thoughts with the committees that we currently have structured. We would love to hear those suggestions and ideas. And with that, look at that, I'm at least closing out a little bit early today. Thank you so much for attending today's meeting. We have a ton of different recent news posts and blog posts. Robin Schwartz's team has been doing a fantastic job with all of those videos, those blog posts, and our social media. So we really want to promote checking out our website, checking out our socials. There's just a lot of really great content there. If you're interested in being a Spotlight member at one of our community conversations, we are always looking for more Spotlight members. I mean, you heard Shadora's presentation today. She was fantastic, and we really want to shout out people who are doing great work like that. So if you're interested, I'm sure we'll have at least some opportunity on December 8th to shout out one of our members, and then we are, making those opportunities available throughout 2023 as well. And with that, I will go ahead and close us out. And if anybody has any questions, again, you can always email us. You can, come off mute or put a question in the chat. And I'll hang out here for a minute. Also, once we are closed out, if anybody has any questions, and thank you so much for joining us today. This was a fantastic meeting, and I think there was a lot of really great information shared. And we really appreciate everybody's time and energy and passion, especially from our presenters today. And we are really excited to see you all at the council meeting on November 10th and the next community conversation on December 8th. All right, thanks everybody.
See you guys. Thank you.